Hi FlossTube, it's Cynthia. I'm back again with another video today, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and talk about heaven and earth designs. And oh my goodness, my daughter was an infant and her 15th birthday is coming up this weekend. So 15 years ago, let's say, I discovered heaven and earth designs. And being a longtime lover of fantasy and fairies and things like that, I just was completely bowled over by not only the artwork on that site, but also the fact that they had been converted into cross-stitch patterns. So it was kind of like this beautiful marriage of two of my favorite things. And so, of course, I was instantly and totally obsessed. And I looked and looked and looked at all the different designers and their patterns. And I went over to the bulletin board where people were sharing their whips and their finishes. And I mean, it just was, oh my gosh, I spent a lot of time going over all of that stuff. And I don't even know how long it took me to make my first purchase, but let's just say that was the beginning of an entire new chapter of my life. So I did place an order and many other orders. I actually have, oh my God, I don't know if I have a couple hundred charts by them, but it's more than 100. So I don't know how many lives I would have to live in order to actually stitch all of them. So, you know, we won't go into that. Let's not do the math, okay? But anyway, so obviously I had to start somewhere, as they say. So luckily I had the foresight to start on a quick stitch. You'll notice that if you go to that website, many of their patterns are what they call QSs. They're quick stitches. And that just means that it's a smaller chart. So if you don't want to stitch a poster-sized pattern that's, you know, 40 pages long of a chart, then a quick stitch is the way to go. So I fell completely in love with the artwork of Ching-Chou Quick, and I'm going to put that name on the bottom of the screen here, spelled properly, and if I am pronouncing it incorrectly, I do apologize, but that's just what I've always called her in my mind. And so that's the name that I'm sticking with. So anyway, she is a very sweet woman. Obviously extremely talented. I follow her on social media. She actually does digital stamps of some of her pieces of artwork, and that of course ties into my whole passion for card making. So anyway, there's just a lot of reasons why I love her. But she was the designer of the very first pattern that I purchased and the first pattern that I ever stitched. So without further ado, let's take a look at Ching-Chou Quick's Quick Stitch Purple Dragonfly. Ta-da! So here she is in all of her glory. So I'm moving this slightly so that you can see all the way from the bottom to the top of this beautiful girl. And you can see, you know, just by my hand in here, the finished size. And I had, you know, because being a lifelong cross stitcher, of course, I have a ton of fabric. But anyway, somewhere along the line, I had picked up a piece of this opalescent fabric, and it's only this big, you know. You can see that the edges have been serged by whoever I purchased this from, and it actually has a color. It's extremely pale kind of like a super, 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 super light misty blue. And I have no idea what it's called, so I apologize in advance for that. But it's a lovely color, and it has this beautiful little opalescent shimmer, which I have no idea if the lighting around here is picking it up, but it's very lovely. And I think this is 20 count. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, it's very, very pretty, and that's what I stitched her on. And you can see that like right here, and then most of her skin calls for Krynic. And I really did use Krynic for this, which some people are probably weeping at the mere thought of stitching this much with Krynic. And you should be crying, because it was a nightmare. Oh, no, that's mean. It's just, you know, Krynic has its challenges, but it is beautiful. And, you know, being my very first Heaven and Earth design, or HAED is kind of the nickname. So you'll hear me say HAED, which is just H-A-E-D. But anyway, many of the HAEDs call for this Krynic. And I think this is number 032. It's a very, you know, popular kind of just a white sparkle thread. And I have since learned to, if a pattern calls for that, I substitute it with something else. So whether I just don't use sparkle at all, or I use a treasure braid or something different. But anyway, you can see all the beautiful, beautiful color variations. And my God, the floss toss for this was every bit as gorgeous as you would think. Look at those eyes, though. That's really, you know, probably the main thing that was making me crazy about these beautiful patterns, is those beautiful eyes. And believe me, Jasmine Beckett Griffith is another artist who has cross-stitch patterns on Heaven and Earth. And she also has the most amazing eyes. But anyway, so that is my beautiful girl. And again, I'll include still photos at the end of the video of this, so that you can look at it without getting nauseous. I have not yet figured out how to, well, I mean, I could zoom in, but, you know, not without some issues. But anyway, there she is. So that is the very first one that I did. And I remember, oh my goodness, when I was starting this one, my baby was so small that I remember my mom was, you know, giving her a bottle, and I was sitting next to the two of them, and I'm stitching, you know, and my mom is like, Cynthia, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? I mean, she liked it, you know, but yeah, she didn't understand. All right, so my next one that I'm going to show you, and I'm just showing you my finishes because there's not many of them, as you might imagine. But yeah, so anyway, the next one, oh, and what I meant to say before I cut myself off was that I'm going to show you these in the order in which they were completed. So the next one that I stitched and finished, looks a little wonky on the fabric, but it's not. Anyway, this lovely doll is from Karen Vinson, and I believe that unfortunately Karen no longer sells her charts on Heaven and Earth Designs, so I don't know that they're available anywhere else, but I really like her artwork as well. And so I have multiple Karen Vinson. Again, I'll have to put the name in the corner because I want you to understand what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I have several of her patterns, but this is the only one that I've completed. And I think this one is called Speckled Fairy quick stitch. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And again, I will obviously have to verify that and put that information in the bottom corner. So anyway, this again, this is just a, you know, non-opalescent fabric, and I'm pretty sure this is 22 count. I'm pretty positive this is 22 count. And I should mention also, with that first Heaven and Earth, it was 2/1 is how I stitched that in full crosses. And then when it came to the Krynic, I just used one strand of the number 4 braid. And I think because that was so thick, I think I just did 10 stitches for that, because a full cross was way too thick on that small of a count. So sometimes you have to make little adjustments as you're stitching, and as long as it looks good, you're golden. You know, there's no rule, there's no nothing. It's just, you know, you get to decide what's easiest and what looks best to you. So this one again is, you know, 1/1 full crosses. So here is a close-up look at all the lovely colors in the background and all the beautiful shades in her hair. The reason I really liked this one in particular was because I loved the background, so that was a pleasure to stitch. I loved her hair because I am also a brunette, and it's kind of nice to stitch someone with brown hair instead of everything always being blonde. And then of course her beautiful eyes, and even her skin, you know, very, very pretty. And it's cute. Look, there's just at the tip of her nose, there's just a little bit of that Krynic again. So I could easily stitch that amount without too much fuss. And there's actually just a little bit of the same Krynic in her eyes, just to add a little sparkle. And then of course her wings, very, very precious. And then the little speckles across her shoulder. And there you go. So really, I thoroughly enjoyed every bit of this stitch. So yeah. And like I said, unfortunately, you can't get this pattern anymore, or else I would recommend, certainly as a starting point, you know, like if this is going to be your first HAED that you ever stitch, this one would be a great starter pattern because it's not that big, and it's just so darn pretty. So anyway, that was my second finish. And then I'm going to show you this one because I don't care for it as much. And there's no reason, you know, it's a wonderful thing, but you know, it was quick, which is one of the reasons that it appealed to me. And then also I had never done a black and white pattern, meaning, you know, the background is just whatever color you choose, and then the stitching is all done in black. So I'd never done one of those before, and so this one was my first one that I did like that. So I'll unfold it for you, obviously. And again, this is Ching-Chou, and I think, well, it should tell me. Yeah, this is actually 14 count Aida, but since the, you know, since the pattern is kind of small, and I did the measuring, and it fit perfectly on this piece of hand-dyed fabric. So, I mean, even though it's 14 count, I was like, no, I'm going to do it. So you can see, I wonder, no, it is 100% done. Because I was curious when I saw this big blank spot. I thought, uh-oh. But no, it is fully stitched. And I apologize, it's been folded, so it's not laying as flat as you might like. But I'm just going to keep moving down so you can see that it is a darling seahorse. And there's these big, beautiful bubbles in the water. And then there's some coral. So he's got himself anchored on a piece of coral. So anyway, that is my little seahorse. And I will also include, again, in the bottom corner of this video, the name of this chart. And I don't know, again, what this might be coming across as, but this fabric is so pretty. And it's actually all done in mottled greens. Kind of a really, really pretty green. But anyway, very, very pretty. And I love all colors, you know. It'd be, I mean, if someone said, what's your favorite color? Generally, I would say red. But when it comes to, you know, fabrics and flosses and paints and, you know, just all that kind of stuff, you know, I love every color. I love the earth tones. I love the jewel tones. I love the pastels. I love everything. So, but anyway, yeah, I had this fabric and I loved it with a passion, but just for the longest time, I just could not settle on what I wanted to stitch on it. So somehow when I came across that Seahorse and then I did the measuring and realized that this is the perfect size for it, I was like, okay, problem solved. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is my fabric. Oh my gosh, this came from Sugar Maple Fabrics, and that might be difficult to read on the tag. Hand-painted cross-stitch fabric. And the name of this particular one is Water Sprite, which again, perfect. But this wonderful company doesn't sell online anymore. I had a long talk with Mindy. She is the owner of Sugar Maple Fabrics. She is Canadian, and for many years she sold all of her beautiful hand-dyed fabrics online. And I was, you know, of course, a huge fan. And like 95% of my hand-dyed fabrics came from Mindy because I loved everything that she did. I mean, just so beautiful. But I'm very sad to report that her PayPal account was hacked and all of her money was stolen. And of course, that was her business account. That was her business money. That's how she purchased all of her supplies, and that's how she made her money, was through her PayPal account. And so when that happened, it was, of course, devastating. And that was it. She just said, no more. I'm not doing this anymore. And she just shut it down, and that was that. Now, she did mention that she was considering still doing some fabrics, but they would only be for sale in Canada in brick and mortar needlework shops in her area. So obviously that meant that I, as an American, was never going to be able to buy her fabrics again. So it's heartbreaking. And of course, more so for her, poor little thing. So anyway, I was just devastated when I heard all of that. And then when I spoke to her and stuff, it was just, you know, it was sad. But I cherish all of the fabrics that I have. And like I said, I think I said that in my last video, that I had sold my Teresa Wentzler carousel horses. And of course, this was many years ago, and they were not stitched on Sugar Maple Fabrics, luckily. But I did sell multiple other cross-stitch finishes on eBay that had been stitched on Sugar Maple Fabrics. And I really, really wish I had not sold them now, because I remember I had stitched the South Seas Mermaid on the most, oh my God, the most beautiful fabric. And she was so stunning. It was crazy. But I sold it. I sold it because I thought to myself at the time, I could just restitch it, you know, buy another piece of that fabric and restitch it for myself. And no, I can't. So yeah, super sad. Very sad. But anyway, that's my little story. Whenever I use the sugar maple fabrics, I will try, I mean, I've hung on to this little bag for years. It's kind of weird, but anyway, I just never want to forget about sugar maple and what these beautiful fabrics are called. So I keep the bag with it. Okay, enough rambling about that. Now I will go back to my fourth and final finish, which is yet again Ching-Chou Quick. And this one I think is called, I think this one is called Red Is My Passion or something like that. Maybe not. Anyway, sorry, I'll look it up and again, put it in the corner. This one is so pretty. And, you know, well, obviously the colors are absolutely fabulous. And you can tell, you know, I could tell from the pattern that this was going to be gorgeous. But that's kind of something you want to keep in mind when you're looking at, especially Heaven and Earth designs. I don't want like a ton of background. Do you know what I mean? Like, really in this one in particular, you can see here's just a little peek of background from behind her tail. And again, a little peek of background and a little bit over here. So there's just these little bits, little sections of background. And then the rest of it is, of course, the big, huge flower that's behind her and those beautiful, beautiful green leaves that you can see. And then, of course, the rest of it is the mermaid. And then her little rose that she's holding in her hand. But anyway, so that's another reason that I loved it, was not only the image and the colors, but the fact that I wasn't going to be stitching a ton of background. And of course, you know, it's lovely. I'm not saying anything against that. It's just that, you know, when you know you're going to start a project like this, you don't want to be spending months, literally, stitching background. I'd rather spend my time stitching the image itself. So again, personal choice, but there you go. And this also has the Kreinik 032. You can see it here in the background. There's a little bit here. There's a little here. And the little, you know, sparkling drops here in her hair have, you know, just a little bit of the Kreinik again. Here it is in the background. There it is in the little folds of her tail. So just these little bits of Kreinik. But anyway, so pretty. God, I love this one. This one should totally be framed. Now that I've figured out how to affordably frame things, I think that this girl is next in line because, you know, she's pretty small. This is actually, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned, a piece of 25 count. And on the Heaven and Earth website, the two main fabrics they recommend are a 25 count, either even weave or linen, or 18 count Aida. And I want to do one on an 18 count Aida. I found a piece of 18 count Aida and I found the perfect pattern to fit on it. And so I hope I put those two together and have them sitting somewhere. But anyway, I wanted to try that just to see which one I prefer, because obviously 25 count is pretty small. And luckily I can still see well enough to do it. Thank God. But I better get cracking because any minute now 25 count is going to be too small for my vision. And that's going to be a sad, ugly day. Anyway, so my beautiful girl. So anyway, those are my 4 finishes. I have several others that I have started or am otherwise in the middle of. Let me go ahead and get you my current work in progress. All right, I just wanted to show you, just in case. No, there wasn't an explosion. This is, oh my gosh, this is the floss for my current work in progress for my Heaven and Earth pattern. And you can see that there's a little bit of floss. A little bit of floss involved. Yeah, a little bit of floss. Oh my God. I don't even know. This might be a 90 color. I really don't want to count. But trust me, many of the patterns are, you know, anywhere from 70 to 90, even the quick stitches. So, but again, that's what makes them so fabulous. So, you know, if you want a finished project that you're going to be incredibly proud of and be completely blown away by, it's going to call for a lot of floss. So you can't be afraid of floss if you're going to do one of these. Anyway, so I did my floss away bags, of course, and put it on a big, huge ring, which you're going to need a big, huge ring. I don't know if this is a 3-inch ring or what, but it's big. But yeah, you're going to need one of those. I mean, you know, you can do whatever you want, but for me, that was easiest. And here is my work in progress. And this is Hannah Disney, or I should say Hannah Lynn Disney. And I think she goes by Hannah Lynn now. But anyway, she is the artist. And again, she does a lot of mermaids and fairies and a lot of very beautiful girls with, you know, beautiful eyes and faces, and then hair. Hannah is all about the hair. And I am all about the hair. And if you go to the Heaven and Earth Designs website and look around at her patterns, you're going to quickly notice that hair is an essential part of all of her designs. So anyway, this is the Quick Stitch Easter Lily Mermaid from Hannah Lynn. And this is, as far as I know, available right now on their website if you'd like to pick up a chart for yourself. You can see that I'm down to the last final pages here across the bottom. And obviously I do, you know, I don't do the parking method. Up here I was, you know, finishing each page at a time before I move on. You know, that's just kind of how I do it. But obviously I do a lot of cross-country stitching. And so there's a lot of black in Hannah's patterns. I mean, actually, many of the Heaven and Earth patterns call for a lot of black, but you can tell because everything is very graphic and outlined in her charts. And so I just went ahead and did the outlining for this edge of her little top, and then her arm here. And then I started filling in some larger areas of the flesh color. So what I was trying to do is, you know, instead of focusing on all the little confetti stitches, I wanted to, you know, get some big chunks done and then go back and fill in. So you can see, like right here, there's some open spots. That's how tiny those stitches are. My God. Looking at this again for the first time in a long time, oh my Lord. That is, I mean, look at that little stitch. Hi, baby. That's a baby stitch. Yeah, very tiny. Anyway, but yeah, so lots of stitching. You can see where I was kind of, you know, gridding, and then, you know, I pull the grid, you know, threads out as I go. Yeah, it looks kind of confusing, but that's gridding for you. And I have all these little ends sticking out for some reason. So I think at the, well, never mind. I won't go into it. Anyway, so yeah, you can see the work I still have to do and how tiny the stitches are. But look at this background. See, this is a good example of why you don't want a lot of background. It's just, look, even just running along here, all the different colors that are running through that background. It's craziness. So anyway, yeah, the background is confetti heaven. So very, very, very pretty when it's done. But yeah, it's a commitment. And look at her beautiful hair. And it even has, you know, a lot of variations within it. So pretty. And there's that Krynic again in the Easter lilies themselves. And I believe that I could be, I guess I don't want to say that because I don't know that the flowers are done. There may be another flower somewhere here at the bottom. I haven't, like I said, looked at this for a while because I've been working on other things. But yeah, so pretty. And I've been thinking about her. I've been thinking about her and wanting to get back to it because, like I said, I know I'm in the final stretch. So, you know, I should put her kind of in my rotation. And, you know, that way she's going to get some attention. But anyway, so that is, you know, the work in progress where I have the most done. And I don't have any other quick stitches. When I do a quick stitch, I just have one when it comes to Heaven and Earth designs. Because can you imagine, I mean, my God, it would be so daunting if I had a rotation of those. I know lots of people do, but for me, it's a little too overwhelming. So I'll just leave her here as I talk because she's so cute. Anyway, so that was just kind of a peek. And I know this was a long video, but that was just a peek at the ones that I've finished, my current work in progress, and then just a few notes and things about working on a HAED. So believe me, if you type Heaven and Earth Designs into the search bar of YouTube, you're going to get inundated. So a lot of people working on a lot of different charts, very, very beautiful things. I really, really admire all the beautiful things people are working on. But, you know, sometimes, you know, very different styles, right? I mean, it depends. There are these patterns by Josephine Wall, I believe is the name. And I would never in my entire life even start a Josephine Wall. You'd have to just go to the website and look at her stuff and you will instantly know what I'm talking about. I mean, I can't even tell you, the entire thing would just be confetti. I mean, you would be changing your floss colors, you know, every 4 stitches. And I could not handle that. That would make me, well, you know what it might do? It might completely destroy my love of cross stitch. So that's why I'm not even going to start one of those. And yet I certainly enjoy seeing other people who have completed them or who are working on them, because my hat's off to you brave souls. I mean, we are obviously wired differently, but I greatly admire your patience and persistence. They are stunning, but no, never in a lifetime. So anyway, that's one of the things about Heaven and Earth that's kind of neat, is that there's a huge variety of patterns, and you will definitely find something that strikes, you know, passion in your soul, and you just have to do it. You know what I mean? And who knows what that'll be. It's obviously very individual. Anyway, whatever, I'm rambling. I can feel it. You can hear it. So I'm going to stop. But if you are working on a Heaven and Earth Designs pattern, you know, go ahead and leave a comment. And if you have any video of it, or maybe a blog where you're showing your progress or something, go ahead and leave a link in your comment. I don't know if you can leave live links in comments. But even if you just leave it, I can copy and paste it into my browser and take a look at what you're working on. So I would love to see all of that. That would be amazing. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I didn't bore you to tears. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I'm a talker, if you can't already tell. So yeah, I can talk your ear off if you let me. So anyway, today's I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Pam and Steph. Again, they are awesome floss tubers. I'm sure you've heard of them. If not, then please check them out. They're amazing and I just love them. And what are they called? Just Keep Stitching. Oh my God. I literally had to picture them in my head saying, you know, this is Pam and this is Stephanie. This is Just Keep Stitching. But anyway, I had to picture that in my head before I could remember the name of their channel. So sorry. But that's just me. You know, I'm kind of a ditz. So there it is. Anyway, want to give a shout out to them because they are super entertaining. They do amazing videos. They do amazing work. And they are extremely active in the whole cross stitch community. And trust me, you will find something about them to love if you give them a chance. So anyway, I guess that's it for this video. Thank you again for sitting here and listening to me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And in the meantime, you guys take care. Have fun stitching wherever you are. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.